Okay, students, we want to welcome you all to the Veterans Assembly today, and we thank you for the honor and privilege of being here. As we post the colors in that today, I'd like you to do that with reverence and letting us know how much you appreciate the flag and what we've done for you. Would the audience please arise? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll post the colors at this time. Color guard, edge, hut, present, honk. Render the proper hand salute. Ready, post. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order on. Color guard dismissed. Audience may be seated. As I talk to you today, I want you to realize something, kids. Freedom isn't free. We've had the privilege of defending the freedom for the United States of America and what the flag stands for. And as you look at the flag and you talk about the flag and talk about Veterans Day, think about how many of us have interrupted our lives, travel around the world to protect this flag, protect the United States of America and the interests we have around the world in helping other countries. It's just not our country alone. And so I want you to realize that freedom isn't free. Somebody has to pay that price. And so as you go through life and you get to thinking, what is life like? What is it like to live in this free country? And all of you, when you go home tonight, I want you to tell your parents thank you for what you have, because there's a lot of kids in other countries that don't have anything to what you've got. And so as you go through life and realize that freedom has to be earned, some of you are going to be called. When you do, stand tall, take care of this country and what this country does for other countries around the world. Respect those that are called to serve. Respect those that are elected in the offices that help protect this country and protect the rights and privileges and freedoms and what you enjoy today. So as you go through this day, think about the veterans in your family that have served in the military. Think about those neighbors. And if you see them, just simply tell them thank you. Let them know how special they are. And let them know that freedom isn't free. And you appreciate the freedom you have and what they've done for you. And as we go through the day today, we want to thank you for the privilege and honor of being in your presence to see the new generation coming forward that's going to need to take care of this country. And thank you very much for the honor of being here today. And I'd like to leave you with my salute and thank you. My name is Norman Nelson. I was in the United States Air Force. My rank was Tech Sergeant. What does Veterans Day mean to me? It means a lot to me because it lets people know that somebody paid for their freedom. Why do you think it's important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day? Is because they need to know where the freedom came from. And it's the veterans that have provided that freedom for them. My military service affected my daily life because I like to travel. I like to go different places. I like to go around the world, and being in the military, that gave me that opportunity. Patriotism is very important to me because patriotism is one of those things that let you know somebody has paid the price. and by showing respect to the flag and being a good citizen. That's patriotism. And if you're any of you out there thinking about joining the military, think carefully what you'd like to do. There's a lot of things that's available. There's a lot of things that you can do in the military that could provide you with a job for the rest of your life. And it's also takes care of this country, and somebody has to pay the price. We have. Now it's your turn. And the best way to thank us as veterans for what we have done is just being good citizens, taking care of the flag, respecting the flag, respecting your neighborhood, respecting the town you live in. And freedom isn't free. Somebody has to pay the price. And the veterans are those that are paying the price. And when you respect the veteran, you're saying thank you for what you've done for me.
All right, my name is Terry Dammer. I was been in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 26 years. Retired as a Master Sergeant E7. Well, Veterans Day for me, it means it's a way of remembering veterans and the sacrifices that we made for our country, and helps so that people don't forget what sacrifices were made to make sure that our country remains as free and as great as it really is. A lot of people died for that reason, and it means a lot to me knowing that we remember our veterans. I think it's important to celebrate Veterans Day so that you never forget the sacrifices that our veterans made for our country. I mean, America wouldn't be as great as it is. We wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for our veterans and the sacrifices they made and winning the wars, giving us our freedom that we have today in America. And we have the greatest country in the world, and it's because of our veterans and the sacrifices that we made. I mean, if World War II, if we wouldn't have won World War II, we'd be either speaking German or Japanese, one of the two. And so there's a lot of bad people out there in this world who don't want us to have our freedom and hate us. And nowadays, in the Middle East, the terrorists, they want to come to our country and they want to disrupt our freedoms and take those things away from us. They want to take away our religion, everything that we hold dear to us. And so our way of protecting ourselves is our military and our veterans. So it's very, very important to celebrate Veterans Day. My military career, how did it affect my life today? Well, I'm very blessed that I am where I'm at right now. My mom and dad divorced when I was a young boy, and so I joined the military, and I met my beautiful wife of 41 years. We've been married. Came into the military, and I thought I'd give it a try for 2 years or 4 years or whatever, and I never realized I'd spend 26 years in the Air Force. But I got in and got into a great career field, and it wasn't all roses. There were bad times. I was injured in a terrorist attack, and I've lost quite a few really good friends, and really they're more family than friends in the military. The sacrifices that they made, and I live with my injuries every day, and it reminds me of the sacrifices that I made. But also on the positive side, I have a very nice house. I retired from the military. I have a very nice house, and I have 2 sons. And the military gave me a chance to get all that, and had a very, I was very fortunate, and so I'm living a very, very nice life because of it. Very grateful to our country. Patriotism, what it means to me, a love for my God, my country, my flag. Uh, I, well, in prior military, patriotism is extremely important. And I think with it, we should all remember and respect those things. Our veterans, military, our God, and our country, definitely. Um, Advice I'd give to those thinking about serving in the military, well, again, I graduated high school and I really didn't know what direction I wanted to take, but I really wasn't all for it. I ended up getting married and I had to do something to bring money in. And so I thought, again, I'll try the military for, a few years, but it was tough at first. It's always hard when lower rank, but you exceed, you excel, and you gain rank, and it gets easier. And it's a great life. It really is. You get to travel. I've been all over the world, seen places that people could only imagine, done things and had a, with my family over in Europe, places my kids got to grow up, part of their childhood, spent over in Europe. And yeah, it was a great life, and I think it's an excellent choice, definitely. Um, a guaranteed job, pretty much. So um, the best way to thank our veterans for their service, I think, is for me, it's just remembering the sacrifices that we made. And I know I really appreciate it when someone comes up to me and says, "Thank you for your service." It's truly an honor for me to serve my country, and I don't expect anything, you know, beyond that. I appreciate my benefits that I've gotten, that type of thing, for retirement and all. But really, um, I don't expect any kind of uh, recognition or anything like that. But it's very nice when you just go up to a veteran and if you're wearing a hat or whatever, military, prior military, and just thank them for their service, or see one in uniform. To me, that's the highest accomplishment I could get. Thanks I can get.
Hey, my name is Gerald Herman. I've served in the U.S. Air Force. What does Veterans Day mean to me is it's a day that we can honor all the veterans that have served, both alive and dead. And important for Americans is they have a chance to remember any of their loved ones that have fought and died, or served and died, or and it gives them a chance to thank the veterans for uh, and honor them. And what it did for me, or my service, was I had a chance to do a lot of traveling, see different countries, and to see how other people live, and reminds me of the freedoms that we have that they didn't have. Uh, what does patriotism mean to you? It's a chance, or it's an honor to honor the flag and the country for where I was born and raised. And what advice would you give if you're going in the service? Do as well as you can in school, and try to enter one of the academies or go to college, get a commission through ROTC or one of those. And the best way to thank a veteran for their service, just come up and say thank you. You see somebody that has a hat on that says that they served, go up to them and thank them for their service. And you'd be surprised how well it makes a person feel. And that's about it.
Yeah, I'm Ronald Bingham. I'm a ex-sergeant in the United States Air Force. Being a vet means a lot to me. It means that we have a country that is based around being loyal to our flag and to our country. And it just, every time I see the American flag, it means so much to me as a vet. I think that at least once a year that we as a nation should thank those vets. And I'm glad that there's a Veterans Day and we can honor those vets that gave their lives and also uh, for the freedom that we enjoy in this great country. My military service was the thing that has helped me throughout my whole life. Every time I put a uniform on or see somebody with a uniform, I want to thank them because it means so much to me to see the flag and to know that our forefathers have set up their lives, gave their lives to help us to become a better and a free nation. Patriotism means that we are loyal to our country, that we love our country, we respect the flag, and we do the things that will help our nation become the giant individual nation that it is throughout the world. If any of you are deciding to go into military, I would encourage you to do so. The military pays for all your schooling. It helps you out throughout your life. Besides that, it gives you great honor to put on the uniform and to be able to wear it proudly and to enjoy this great country again. And the best way to serve or to welcome or thank the vets is to go up and personally tell them how much you appreciate their sacrifice because everybody that has gone into the military knows that there is a good chance they could not return back home. So by just thanking them and tell them how much you appreciate them, that is the best way of doing it.
My name is Ray Yoder. I'm a buck sergeant in the United States Air Force. Being a veteran means that I have served my country when asked to do so. I was drafted in 1963 and served a tour in Vietnam and in Europe too. As far as other people in this country, they need to celebrate and acknowledge the veterans for the simple reason they're the ones that built, stood for this country, and many of them gave their lives to serve this country so that it is what it is today. And I was drafted. I was put through all the basic trainings to go to a combat zone. Uh, it gave me a sense of responsibility and just exactly what this country is all about. Patriotism is a condition where you know what this country does, the benefits of this country when compared to other countries throughout the world. And patriotism is acknowledging the country for that recognition. The military today is somewhat different than it was when I was in. I was more or less old school military. New is quite different with the equipment, the personnel, and the way they're trained and what they're trained to do. Just acknowledging that a veteran has served is usually good enough.
Hi, my name is Master Sergeant Wiley. I am retired. I was in the Air Force. I joined in 1972 and I retired in 2005. I was 9 years active duty, 22 years in reserves. What does Veterans Day mean to me? It means the celebration of those who have given so much for our country that we have the freedoms that we have today. I think it is important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day because it helps us with patriotism. It helps us to realize where we came from. It helps us to realize that freedom isn't free, that some people have paid the ultimate sacrifice. My military service affects my life daily because when I see the flag fluttering in the breeze, it makes me think of those who have come before me. It makes me think of those who are going to serve and protect our country from violence, from enemies within and without. It means those who are willing to lay their life on the line so that I can have the freedom that I have today. Patriotism to me means that we stand when the flag goes by. We are proud of what America stands for. We defend the rights of those who are around us, that we don't just, and I hate to say sports people, kneel on the flag. We give them that right by giving them our lives, but that doesn't mean you should disrespect us for what we have done. What advice would I give to those about thinking to serve in the military? It is a great way to start. It is a great way to get an education. It is a great way to advance yourself. It is a good way to serve your country, serve those around you. The best way to thank a veteran for his service is to stand up and be respectful of the flag. Be respectful of the service that they have given. Thank them personally. Come up and say, thankful for your service. Then I'll turn the question around and ask you, what do you think is the best way to thank a veteran for his service or her service? Thank you.
My name is Stacy Little. I served in the United States Army, and I was a sergeant in 37th Field Artillery. What does a Veteran Day mean to me? It means a lot of things. All my brothers served. I was the youngest in my family. My brothers were all either Air Force, Army, or Marines. And I think of them a lot. I think how it means to be part of a family that served their country, and being a veteran. At the time I went in the Army, I thought I was invincible and all this, and didn't really know most of what I was getting into. But as I look back now, I'm and my brothers and sisters in arms are just part of a small group of people that gave something back to their country. On question 3, what do I think important for America to celebrate Veterans Day? I think it's important that everyone remembers when they see a veteran or they see the American flag that there were a lot of people, both men and women, who gave their lives along with time to defend this country. And seeing that flag really brings back memories of people I know that didn't come home, and I think people had that thought in their minds, they would probably do more on Veterans Day than what they do. I think my service today, back then, it made me more patriotic. It made me understand that it takes a lot of effort to keep this country free, a lot of sacrifice. And what little bit I gave, I can at least say that I served and I called upon, I did what I had to do. But it's just really, it made me a better person overall, and I think a better leader. What does patriotism mean to me? It means being part of a bigger community, one that when they see the flag, they see more than just a piece of cloth with stripes and stars on it, that they're, like I mentioned before, that there was a lot of people that died to serve this country, gave up a lot of time, and just to know that I live in a free country and that being part of that effort to maintain that freedom, that's what patriotism means to me. Number 6, what advice would you give to those being served in the military? I'd say do it. That I just had a nephew go in the Navy. I won't criticize him for going in the Navy, but that's fine. But he's been wanting to serve and do something for his country. He's really a very strong, patriotic young man at 19. I'm with him all the way, and he's in basic training right now. So I think it's a good way to gain some experience on serving, not only serving the country, but learning how to work with people and do the hard thing. What's the best way to thank a veteran? I like when somebody says thanks for your service. That's fine. But overall, I think for individuals, when I really get emotional and excited when I'm at an event where the national anthem's played and the and the Pledge of Allegiance recited. People are standing and they've got their hands over their heart or they're saluting. That means a lot to me, that they understand what's going on, and it's being part of a parade say in the front of the parade when the flags are going by and watching the people and the young people, the little boys, little girls standing and moms down there, put your hand over your heart. That's me. That's the best way to thank a veteran, is to teach everyone that there's more to being a veteran. There's more to patriotism than you can just state in a few minutes.
I'm Sid Bodley. I was in the U.S. Army. I retired at the rank of Sergeant Major. That was in E9. What does Veterans Day mean to me? Veterans Day means to me that it gives me a day, and not only Veterans Day do I think about this, I think about it often, of those veterans who have given a portion of their life at whatever level to go out and do the things that it takes to keep this country a free country. If it wasn't for our veterans, if it wasn't for our military today, those serving and wherever they're serving, we would not be a free country. We would not be able to have all these privileges that we have. We talk about being a free country and all the things that we can do, and that is true. But we need to remember that the laws are out there. We can't just do anything we want to do. We have to do the things we want to do, but we can't be affecting other people and their lives too. So, we got rules for a reason, and we need to stay within them. But we are a free country compared to other countries. We are extremely free. Why do I think it's important to celebrate Veterans Day? I think us as American citizens need to think about the veterans who have served. Now, I don't like to think that I need any special attention, but there's a lot of veterans out there that their lives have been changed dramatically because of military service, whether they've lost a limb, you've got family members that have lost loved ones, all that kind of stuff, just to keep us a free country. Like I say, we can think that we are a free country, but it don't just happen. If it wasn't for these militaries fighting and do the things that they do, we wouldn't be as free as we are today. And so I just think it's important that we remember those who have served and who have provided the time and service so that we as individuals can be a free country and we can do the things that we like to do. We can go to school. We can practice religion the way we want to practice religion, things that you can't do in other places. How does your military service affect your life today? I think my military service has had a big effect on me throughout my life. I graduated from Box Elder High School in 1966. As I graduated from Box Elder High School, the Vietnam War was just getting going. I felt that I was fairly patriotic, and I probably was for where I was at in my life and what I'd been through. But in May of 1968, I was drafted into the Army. When you go into the Army, they give you some tests. They decided that I could make him a good combat engineer. That's where I best could serve the Army. So I was a combat engineer. A combat engineer's job was to slow the enemy down and help the friendly troops advance. You go in there, you do your basic training. That's all the training to take care of yourself and, how to fight and your first aid, your weapons training, all that kind of stuff. After that, it's your MOS training. That's the training for what you're going to do in the Army. And they give you good training, and they give you the stuff that you need. Being a combat engineer, we done a lot of road obstacles. We done minefields. We learned how to build all kinds of bridges, all that kind of stuff. As soon as I got done with that, I was sent over to Vietnam. I spent 1 year in Vietnam. Every day, the first thing we done every morning was we would get up and we would mine sweep about 3 to 4 miles of road. That's not only so we could use the roads, but the civilians could use the roads and they could get to work and do the things that they needed to do. Once you got done with that, you'd go home and you'd get cleaned up and have a little breakfast, have a few minutes, and then you have to go out and do your day's work, whether it was uh, working on a road, working on a bridge. You might be doing a little search around the area to see if the enemy was out there. You know, you had another day's work. When you came home at night, you didn't just go home and go to bed. You had guard duty that you had to do, all that kind of stuff. That was 24 hours a day. Somebody was watching you, whether you was watching them or they were watching you, whether you was on the job site, whether you was sleeping, no matter what you was doing, somebody was watching out for you, or you was watching out for them. Somebody was always on guard for what was going on over there. But as I spent that year over there, it better made me realize what it meant or what it took to be a free country. I definitely could see that it just didn't happen. It takes a lot of work on a lot of people's part. And to me, I'm the lucky one. I made it home. You know, we didn't all make it home. So I think it gave me a good insight of what it was. Like I say, I thought it was fairly patriotic, but it really opened my eyes to what it takes to keep this country a free country. As I got home and was going through my civilian career, my military, I think, helped me a whole lot with the leadership skills and stuff that I got while I was in the military. What does patriotism mean to me? You know, I fought for this flag, and I love to see when everybody stands up when the flag goes by, or they respect it. That's what I really think, and I think it's important that we as individuals learn and study the best we can, so that we know what it's all about to this country and what it is and what it takes to be a free country. But patriotism to me just means respecting that flag, believing in my country. You know, we might not be the perfect country, but we're our country, and we ought to stand behind it and what it does in a good way, and not in all the ways that you see happening on TV today. What advice would I give to those who are thinking about serving in the military? You know, we don't need everybody in the military. We don't, like I say, we don't need them. There's not room for them all. So if you're really interested in being in the military, that's fine. I think it's great. What I would ask you to do is, when you sign your contract, you do what it is that you signed up to do. You do the time that you was asked to do. If it's 2 years, 6 years, 4 years, whatever it is, you do that. If you enjoy it and want to stay there, fine, continue. If you don't, after your agreement's over, you get out and go on to whatever else it is you want to do. But I just believe in doing what it is that you've signed up to do. What is the best way to thank a veterans for their service? You know, I think by showing respect for the flag in this country is a really good way. Uh, like I say, I'm not here looking for any special treatment. I don't, I know I'm a veteran. I realize that, but I don't need somebody to pat me on the back every day because I went to war. I just done what I thought was what the country wanted me to do. I was doing what, back that day, the laws was we had to draft. I got drafted. I knew it was coming. I didn't know what the military was all about. So I waited for the draft. You know, if I got drafted, I only had to go for 2 years. If I joined, I had to go for 3. I actually went 2 years active and then done 32 and a half years in the Army Reserve program. So I ended up doing 34 and a half years overall. But I just think the best way to thank a veteran is to respect our flag and follow the rules and respect our country and our leaders and the things that are going on, support them. We can all have our different opinions. I don't have a problem with that, but we need to do it in the proper way.
Stephen Greer, rank is Specialist 5th Class, United States Army.
Hey, what does a Veterans Day mean to me? If I reflect back to during the Civil War, they were veterans. They were fought for what they did, what they believed in. They died for what they believed in. Now things have changed so much that they want to do away with all their statues, all their history. They died for doing stuff like that. They were veterans. I wonder if this thing will change in this another 80, 90 years. It will be the same way. They want to do away with our statues, the way things are going. But it means the world to me to be a veteran. Veterans are honored. The reason they are honored is because what we did, what we fought for. So those that are protesting now can protest, but they don't understand that. We fought for that flag. The flag is a symbol of our freedom. Freedom is not cheap and it's not free. Many people give some, a lot of them give all. I feel bad about the families that lost their loved ones for defending this country. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it for the way things are going in this nation now. People could care less. I shouldn't say all people, but there is a few that's out there that would rather fight you than believe in what we believe in. And the reason that is because we fought for what we believed in. It was hard. It was a hard war to fight in. I fought in the Vietnam era. And when we come back, we weren't very well honored. We were spit on, and said that we were baby killers. They told us not to wear our uniforms because they didn't want people to know that we'd been in the military, because they were really down on that. I come into San Francisco, and that's one of the worst places in California. How protests are now. But that's part of life. Why do I think it's so important to be Americans to celebrate Veterans Day? Is because it's a day of honor. It's a day of us being honored for what we did, and our forefathers for what they did. I mean, they put in just as much time, if not more, than we did. World War I was not a good war. World War II was not a good war. The Vietnam War was not a good war. I don't think any wars are good, but we should honor and respect them that they do, because they are part of our nations. They did what they needed to do. Uncle Sam called them, and they did what they needed to do. If I think about back to the Vietnam or to the Civil War, those that were in that died, brothers and sisters, and died for doing what they believed in. So I just hope they are honored forever, like all the veterans are. How did the military help me? It helped me in many ways. I'm on the honor guard. I do many funerals. In fact, we're up to 200 and something funerals this year that we've done for our military companions that have passed away. And it is an honor to be part of that honor guard. If I wouldn't have been in the service, I wouldn't be doing it now. I dedicate a lot of time to that. It's an honor for us to do that. And that's why without the military, you wouldn't do it. The families appreciate it. We appreciate it. We really enjoy doing stuff like that. That's how the military helped me to do education. If it wouldn't have been for that, I probably wouldn't have got my high school diploma if I wouldn't have been in the military. Patriotism is something that we do for the idea of being part of our nation, represent that flag that we fly. That's how important it is to be a patriot. You can be a patriot and don't have to be in the service. You can be a patriot just for the idea of being part of this country, this great country. Without the military, we wouldn't be where we are now. You can imagine what it would be like if we were in China or in Germany, being commanded to do what they want us to do, not what we want to do. So that's what being a patriot to me is. I'd give those who want to think about going into service to do it if they want to. It's the best knowledge and the best learning experience they'll ever have in this world, is to go in the military. Yeah, it'll be hard at first, but if you want to go to school, that's when to do it. Just go to school. The military will pay for it. You'll be able to do a lot of things. The military takes care of a lot of stuff that you need to do, that you need to have during your lifetime. Best way to thank a veteran is just come up to them and tell them thank you for your service. It's an honor to be around a veteran. The guys that were around, the veterans here that's today doing these interviews, are great people. You always want to tell them thank you and thank their families. Their families went through a bunch. They had out being their fathers for years, sometimes 2 years. Could you imagine if you had your father or your brother or your sister going and not be able to see them for a year or two? Well, veterans are important. They're really important. They're really be around and to be honored. So just go up and tell them thank you. Thank you very much for your service. It's an honor to be around you.
My name is John Workentine. I was in the Army Combat Engineers, Vietnam. I'm an E5, Sergeant E5. Veterans are, Veteran Day is a day to celebrate soldiers that served our country and made it free. It is, I think it's an honor to celebrate Veterans Day because it honors veterans that kept us free and fought in wars, died for us. My military service helped me grow to be the man that I am now. It made me grow up and become more responsible for my actions, and taught me how to cope with the world. Patriotism is serving our country and being kind to other people and I don't know, serving other people. If you're thinking of going into the military, stay in school and graduate, and then go into the military, because the more education you get, the better, the easier it is to get rank, go up in rank and do a better job. Best way to thank a veteran is to go up and thank them for their service and ask them what they can do for you and talk to them about their service if they're willing to talk about it.
My name is Leo Chittister. I've served in the U.S. Army had the rank of Specialist E5. Veterans Day means to me. It honors me for my service. I really feel like that was a good thing that I did for my country. It's important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day because veterans have kept this country free and independent for over 200 years. They need to be honored for their service because a lot of them probably didn't want to serve, but they did. How does military service affect their life today? I have good memories about my military service, and I feel honored that I am a veteran. There was a time when I came back from Vietnam that you couldn't wear your uniform. You couldn't say you were a veteran because it would be uh, looked down upon, and some serious things could happen to veterans. But nowadays, Vietnam veterans are now honored, and that's good. What does patriotism mean to you? Patriotism is the most important thing that we do in our society today. Uh, I'm frustrated that our children are not being taught patriotism in school or in their homes. Advice I'd give to someone who's thinking about serving in the military: do it. Uh, Pick a branch that you like. Uh, think about what kind of training you want, because different branches give you different kinds of training, and military service is valuable. In fact, if you look at it when you apply for a job, if you're a veteran, that gives you a leg up on being hired. Best way to make a veteran for their service, my goodness. Just tell them that you appreciate what they've done, because veterans don't have anything now except knowledge that they did serve their country.
My name is Thomas D. Shaw. I served in the Utah Army National Guard for 20 years. I retired in 1990 with the rank of an E8 First Sergeant. Veterans Day is a day that I always remember. Many of you don't know how many veterans there are around you. They don't wear anything special, but you all have veterans that you know. Veterans Day is an opportunity for us to pause for a moment and remember the sacrifices that so many millions of servicemen and women have contributed to the peace and safety and environment that we enjoy today. I think it's important that we celebrate Veterans Day, that we look for opportunities to recognize those who have served. There's so many opportunities to serve in different ways. I didn't serve as a full-time military person. I served as a part-time military person in the Utah Army National Guard. The National Guard and Reserves account for 50% of the strength of the U.S. military today. There are those around you that are serving currently, who have served, and I think it's important that we have a day to stop and recognize them with the various opportunities that abound in our community. My military service has affected me ever since I joined in 1970. I have a deep respect for the flag. It hurts every time I see one disrespect the flag and disrespect those that have given their life to protect the liberties and freedoms that we have. It gives me an opportunity to serve. I still serve. We honor veterans at their burials. We do these kinds of opportunities at schools, and it has had an effect on me throughout my life, mainly because I understand the sacrifice of so many on my behalf. Patriotism means that we have a deep respect for the liberties and freedoms that are ours. You've heard the saying many times, freedom is not free. Throughout the history of the United States, we have paid a large price through many wars and conflicts, many around the world. We need to be a patriotic society. We need to respect the flag, respect those who serve, respect the opportunities that are ours right now. We are in a very divided country, too divided. Patriotism, I think, is one thing that we could all agree on to bring our country back together and united in one common cause, and that is to continue to keep our liberties and freedoms intact. If any of you are thinking about serving in the military, I would highly encourage you. It's becoming more and more difficult as we get away from generations who really understand the role and the need of an active military. Our best defense is a strong offense. As long as the world knows we have the most capable military in the world, we will continue to be a free and patriotic people. That takes a large military budget, but more importantly, it takes a lot of military individuals. I would encourage any of you who are thinking about military service to give that serious consideration. Not only do you serve your country, but there are many benefits afforded to you to further your education and do many other things because of your service in the military. Every branch of the military right now needs increased strength. You can learn new careers. You can come out of the military with training that you'll not receive anywhere else that makes you valuable in today's civilian market and would be a great advantage to you to take the opportunity to serve in the military. I think the best way to thank a veteran is to recognize them, and they're hard to recognize, especially those that have fought battles outside of the U.S. borders, those who have served in Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Many times you will find them very reticent to speak about their involvement and speak about what they went through to serve our country. We need to recognize who they are. You probably have family members, and maybe you have family members that you don't know served in the military. Take every opportunity to thank them for their service. When the community has a Veterans Day activity, support it. You'll see many veterans there, and some of them you won't recognize. Some of them you will look at and think, I didn't know he was a veteran. I didn't know she was a veteran. So take every opportunity to recognize them, but just sincerely say thank you for your service. That's probably the phrase I hear most common that means the most to me. It isn't grandiose. It isn't overly exciting. But whenever I'm in my uniform, as I am today, and I move around the community, a simple thank you for your service is the best tribute that I can receive.
I'm Sergeant Lonnie Cutler. What does Veterans Day mean to you? Well, before I was a soldier, before I become in the military, it kind of like most people, it kind of goes on the wayside, and but now that I've served our country, it really means a lot. And the flag and everything else means so much more. Why is it important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day? Because we get to remind us of all those who have gone before us, those that have served our country, and thank those that are still serving. How did your military service affect your life today? Well, when you're in the military, there's certain ways that you learn to adjust your life or you don't survive. And you get it to a point, if you get into a war zone, you have to depend on somebody else rather than yourself, hoping that your friend has your back as you will have his back. And it affects your life throughout your life, really. And it's follows you through your life, with whatever job you might have to your dying days, I guess. What does patriotism mean? That's a good question. I was probably about a sophomore in high school, and we come out of the locker rooms to go out on the field with their helmets in their hand, and the national anthem was playing. And I felt this goose, my back of my neck, the hair on my back of my neck kind of stood up or whatever, and I'd always been, patriot, I guess, but that kind of turned me to really love and appreciate this country, to see that old flag flying and the national anthem. Because we've always, my dad was World War II, and we'd had military in our background, so it was kind of different. What advice would I give to those thinking about serving? It can be two ways to serve our country. You get paid so much more than what we did, and the education is there for you to pursue, especially if you're in a family that, I know my family could afford it, but I still wasted their money because the education, if I'd had the military first, I'd had it to back me up. And so, yeah, it's a good way to get your education because you join up the military and it's all free anyway. So, what's the best way to thank a veteran? I thought, is this question, how would somebody else, thank a veteran? As a civilian, all you can do is tell them thanks for their service, and because everything else, especially if you've served and you're thanking somebody else, they know pretty much everything that you're grateful for, and things your life alone is more grateful to yourself than it did before you served our country. So for a veteran in their service, all you can do is, they got that retired hat on them most of the time, a ball cap, and go out of your way and thank them for their service.
Hi, my name is Derek Williams. I was in the Army National Guard, and my rank is E5 Sergeant. How did your military service affect your life today? All right. My military service started when I was 17 years old. I was still in high school. My father was a member of the National Guard unit here locally, and my buddy and I one day we sat together and said, "Well, we should join the military." I said, "Okay," and that was almost about as much thought as I'd put into it at that point. But as a 17-year-old kid, I needed my mother's permission to enlist. She wasn't real happy about it, but she did out of respect for my decisions. And then right after high school, I went to basic training, from basic training to college. And all through that time, I was in the National Guard, which meant I did 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. And that kind of affected me and who I was. I got out of the military after several years, and I'd been out for about a year when the September 11th attacks happened. And during that time, like most Americans, I was trying to figure out what to do. What could I do to help our country in a time of need? And it became apparent to me that, well, I'd spent a lot of time learning how to be a soldier. And that's something that I could do. That's something I could give back. So I actually re-enlisted at that point. After I re-enlisted, a little bit later, I got an opportunity to serve, and I did security as part of the National Guard unit that was there at the Olympics in Salt Lake City. And then a few years later, we actually got deployed, and we were sent to Iraq in 2004 and 2005. And I served our country over there, and I got to see some things and do some things there that there's no way I'd be able to have that experience any other way. So it affected me in lots of ways. It almost partly defined who I am. It also affected my wife. It affected my children. Obviously, when I was gone, they were very young and impressionable. And even the children that I've had since then have understood what that is and what it means and how important it is as we talk about, the time when Dad was gone and the sacrifices that those have met. And even as we've gone to the funerals of the soldiers that made it home from the war but didn't make it through life, we understand the sacrifice and some of the suffering that they are still going through, even after the war, but how it has affected them. Why do you think for more? Okay, why do you think it is important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day? It's important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day just to recognize kind of what we have. Veterans Day for America is a day to honor and recognize the people that have gone and served. For me, and I think most of your generation, military service is 100% voluntary. But for my father in Vietnam, for my grandfather in World War II, they were drafted. It wasn't necessarily their decision. It wasn't necessarily their choice. And I hear the stories of my father coming home and visiting the United States during and after the Vietnam War, and how poorly he was treated and how difficult it was for him. And it wasn't because it was something that he wanted to do necessarily. He didn't necessarily volunteer to do it. He would do it if his country asked, but he was drafted. It wasn't his choice. And for all of us to recognize kind of what these people, these young men and women do, and the incredibly difficult choices that we ask 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old people to do when we send them overseas and do some of the dirty work that needs to be done in our country for us it is incredibly important that we recognize and we honor them for what they've done.
My name is James Bruce Whiting. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard. I retired with the rank of captain. Veterans Day is really important to me
My father-in-law served in World War I. He was one of the few men that came back in his unit. The others were all gassed. And he was gassed also, but he survived. Although he had to breathe oxygen for the first 12 years, when he got back to the States finally, to be able to have enough lung capacity to breathe. And then he went ahead and went courting and got married to my sweet mother-in-law. I think Americans should celebrate Veterans Day, remember the sacrifices that were done. One of my best friends in dental school was the first dentist that was killed in Vietnam. Tom Alderson was his name. A great man, a wonderful dentist. He was the top of our class, and yet they shot his helicopter down when he was going in to his base. It was a terrible tragedy, we thought. But he served for his country. We need to remember him and all the others that have given the ultimate sacrifice. My military service does affect me today. I was proud to serve. Yes, they came to our graduating class and said, gentlemen. In those days, all dentists were gentlemen. Now it's 2/3 female. But I was able to join and serve my country. And I'm happy to do so, to have done so. Patriotism means that we need to go ahead and be proud of our fathers that went before. Freedom is not free. It took an awful lot of sacrifice and blood to give us the freedoms that we have in these United States. I have a couple of grandkids that are serving in the military right now. And I'm happy that they thought about going ahead and serving like I did. One was in the Navy, served 4 years. One's currently in the Army. I think the best way to thank a veteran for their service to the country is to honor them and be kind.
My name is John Pierce. I served in the United States Navy. I'm a petty officer, 2nd class. A veteran is someone that gave a portion of their life for their country and our freedom. It's important to recognize all those that served for our freedom, to give you the things in the life that you have today. My military service has affected my life in the sense that it taught me good values and a way of life that I wanted to live. Patriotism is recognizing all those that have served for us. For those of you that want to serve in the military, give everything that you got for our country. It's going to require a lot of your life, and the best way to thank a veteran is to recognize them and walk up to them. And I know it's hard right now, you can't shake their hand, but give them an elbow bump or just recognize them. Just make eye contact with them, recognize them when you see someone wearing a hat or a uniform. Or
My name is Delmer Cunningham. I served in the United States Navy. I'm a petty officer, second class. Radarman was my job. Veterans Day to me is more than just one day. Every time I see somebody in uniform or a hat that somebody wears that has served in the military, I think of the brotherhood and sisterhood that exists. We sacrificed part of our lives to maintain the freedoms that we enjoy today. The celebration of Veterans Day is just, to me, it's honoring those that have sacrificed. There's a song that says, "Some gave all gave some." Anyone who puts on a uniform in today's, or has been in the past, has dedicated his life. Essentially, we've signed a blank check that they could be cashed at any time, meaning that we took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we all understand that. And for us that have been in combat, we understand what that means. We fight for the rights of freedoms of the peoples in the United States and for those that are oppressed throughout the world. Freedom is precious, and freedom is not free. How does my military service affect me in my life today? I was in the service when during the Vietnam era and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuban Missile Crisis was a different story. We came within 3 heartbeats of Third World War. Of course, our welcome home from Vietnam did not exist. We were treated very poorly. But that doesn't mitigate the commitment that we in the service felt. Again, we took an oath to defend their freedoms. My patriotism, I've kind of jokingly said that there are 2 great patriots in the world. One was John Wayne and the other one is me. But that's not true. Everyone that has served is a patriot and would defend this country even today if we were called upon to do it. For advice for those thinking about going in the service, when I went into the service, I had just graduated high school. I really didn't have any plans. I wasn't rich enough to go to college. My folks couldn't support me in college. And I didn't think that my grades were well enough to go to college. At that time, there was a military obligation, and so I decided that I probably ought to just enlist and get that obligation out of the way. I received the equivalence of an associate's degree in electronics in 6 months. That gave me the basis and foundation when I got out of the service, when I was separated. I was able to utilize what my career in the Navy and was able to have a good job that was able to support myself and my family. Best way to thank a veteran for their service, just looking at them, and we've noticed today that more people, when they realize that they're talking to a veteran or recognize that we are veterans, say thank you for your service. That means a lot. Like I said, our welcome home from Vietnam was not a pleasant we were not welcomed. There are some ugly stories that happened, but especially here in Brigham City, the people here have acknowledged our service, and it's heartwarming to hear a sincere thank you for your service.
Corporal John McClellan, United States Marine. Veterans Day means to me a chance to remember all the veterans prior to today for all the sacrifice they did, including World War I and II, and throughout all the wars. I think it's important to celebrate Veterans Day because, again, it gives us a chance to remember the sacrifices that many gave to ensure that we have a free democracy here. My military service affects my life today in a way that it still gives me the discipline to operate from day to day and chance to teach and evaluate the values of what the Marine Corps and the military service has done for this country. Patriotism means to me to be how we view the United States and the freedoms that we enjoy here. The advice I would give to those thinking about serving in the military is that it is a sacrifice, but it's also an honor to be able to serve and support the country and its values, and remember that the freedoms that we enjoy here. The best way to thank a veteran is just to let them know how much you appreciate them being in their time in service.
Okay, Leland Davidson, U.S. Navy, Petty Officer, second class. Veterans Day means very much to me. It means the opportunity to take and put our country into perspective that we have battled and fought for this country. It's an honor for those that takes and gives us honor that we did not give when we were in Vietnam time and became home, but I was able to not go through any of the problems that I have heard of many of them do. The Veterans Day is very important to remember for why we are serve our country. The military that I see today, I really appreciate them. Many times they take and tell us that they appreciate us, which we try and look back upon ourselves. We do say the same thing to the Second World War vets and the Korean War vets. We were always on each other's shoulders. And watching the ones today, they are able to, they take and volunteer to go into the service. And the time that I almost got drafted because of the draft, but I decided I wanted the Navy more than the Army. Patron means quite a bit because we show respect to those that are serving today and those that have served before. For those that are thinking about going into the military today, I say hope you serve and serve well. And do it because as you want to, as it requires today, those that comes because it's a duty that we need to still fight to take care of our country. best way to take and thank us is just tell us thanks.
My name is Jerry Kapner. I served the United States Coast Guard, and I served as a lieutenant commander. Veterans Day is a very important day for us to remember the service given to us throughout the many years, the history of the United States in keeping our country free. Many people served throughout the world in many wars, and on that day is a special day to pay tribute to their service. And I think it's important for Americans to celebrate Veterans Day, to give their respect, to remember the liberties that we have at this time, because those liberties are directly related to the lives lost, to those wounded in action, to those who spent their time in the service to protect us, to keep our nation free. My military service, I was not a career veteran. I served for 3 years, and so I'm not a long-term military person, but the time that I spent in the military was special, as I got to work in a boot camp in the Coast Guard. I got to see a lot of young men come in who, during the Vietnam War, who were preparing to serve in the Coast Guard wherever. And so I saw these young men come in and were ready for whatever assignments that they were learning about the military life. And so I appreciate those young men. It affects me even today that those who either were drafted or volunteered for military service, I pay tribute to them. Patriotism is a very special thing. We have a wonderful country. We were made a country because of the patriotism of people many years ago who didn't like the form of government and the oppression that they were under the foreign rule. And so today, I think of those patriots who not only fought in the Revolutionary War, but who put their life on the line in supporting those who did fight. And they put their life on the line for us. You're thinking about serving in the military. Military is not for everyone, but the military is a great learning opportunity. You can go in the military and choose a career. You can serve in the military to be able to see many countries in the world as you, if you make it a career. And so you need to think hard about it, but it's a wonderful opportunity. Best way to thank a veteran for their service is to be patriotic. So when you recite the Pledge of Allegiance, think about it. Pay attention. Look at that flag. Salute that flag. Whenever you have the opportunity, stand and salute that flag. When we're doing the parades in Brigham City and other places, you see the people sitting down, sitting on the curb, and they don't even bother to stand and salute with their hand over their heart, pay respect for the flag and for our country. That affects me deeply. I appreciate all those who are willing to stand for their country. It also hurts when I look at the professional sports who kneel
instead of stand. I think that's a very disrespectful thing for people to do. Stand for your country.
I'm Len Nelson. I'm a sergeant with the United States Army. I am a proud member of the military, and I come from a military family, and being a veteran means a lot to me. And if you celebrate Veterans Day, the best way to do it is just to acknowledge the people, because it means so much to a veteran to be acknowledged that somebody appreciates them being in the military. Military life is not for everybody, but it suited me very, very well. I thoroughly enjoyed being there. The structure, the camaraderie with my fellow military personnel, it meant the world to me. Patriotism is more than just a word. It's standing up for your country. It's being what you want to be and showing the world that you are proud of where you come from. I think everybody should have the chance to join the military and serve at least 2 years or more. It's something that will benefit you for the rest of your life. It gives you a deeper and stronger feeling for your country. It's just hard to put in words what it is like to be someone that is willing to give their life to save their friends and neighbors. Thanking a veteran is simple. When you hear the national anthem, stand, place your hand over your heart. If you hear the taps, lower your head, put your hand over your heart. Show respect for the people that have been there and made the ultimate sacrifice, if that would be 2 years or giving their life for your country. It's just really simple to just take a second and just even nod to them.